President Trump tonight has signed a bill to release the Epstein files, the federal investigation into his former friend and infamous pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Trump had long opposed the release until Democrats and a handful of Republicans.
U.S. President Donald Trump is warning of an economic and national security disaster if the Supreme Court overturns its use of emergency powers to impose sweeping tariffs on nearly every country. Speaking Monday, Trump claimed the tariffs have generated trillions in tariff and investment income.
Well, what a week it has been in the madness of Donald Trump, the decline and fall of Donald Trump. With him tonight now.
This is SFA News, and we begin with dramatic scenes unfolding inside the courtroom today, where complete silence took over as former President Donald Trump appeared to realize that the judge overseeing his case is moving closer to immediate sentencing.
There's growing controversy today over the president's treatment of a reporter aboard Air Force One. Yep, he really did call a female reporter Piggy as she was peppering him with uncomfortable questions.
The DOJ now has 30 days to release the files, including everything the agency's collected over several federal investigations into Epstein, along with his longtime confidant and girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell.
The numbers were reported so incorrectly. The real numbers are trillions of dollars have been taken in or gotten in terms of investment from the tariffs.
The tension hit a peak when the prosecution concluded its final arguments with a forceful statement pressing the judge to act swiftly due to what they called repeated violations, escalating rhetoric, and continued disregard for legal boundaries.
Federal appeals court says President Trump can challenge his hush money conviction. A panel of judges in New York sent the case back to a lower court to review issues tied to last year's Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity.
She's currently serving a 20-year prison sentence for procuring girls for Epstein. The Trump administration moved Maxwell to a cushier minimum security prison.
As soon as Donald Trump isn't president anymore, the next Democratic president better be prepared for the New York Times and the rest of the news media to scream attention to any phrasing on any subject by a Democratic president that they think is imperfect.
According to those inside the courtroom, Trump, who had entered with his usual confidence, appeared increasingly unsettled as the judge questioned the defense about delays, missing documents, and repeated procedural issues.
Trump was convicted last year on 34 counts of falsifying business records tied to payments made to his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, over alleged hush money to Stormy Daniels.
What did Jeffrey Epstein mean in his emails that you said you knew about the girls?
Trump answered her first question.
I know nothing about that. Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years.
Top of the hour now, you're watching a special New Year's Day edition of CNN Newsroom. I'm John Avlon in New York. And we begin with a message today from the Senate to the president.
The courtroom atmosphere shifted when the judge stated openly that the time for leniency and extensions may have already passed, signaling that sentencing could come much sooner than expected.
Right now, our new special report focuses on the newly revealed emails, specifically between Epstein, the deceased sex trafficker, and one of the most important people in Donald Trump's orbit, which matters now.
The Senate voting to override President Trump's veto of a mammoth defense spending bill. Let's go to CNN's Phil Mattingly for more. Phil, a pretty remarkable last hour. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, and it wasn't even close. Let's first talk about the policy, right? And I think it underscores why this was a fight that the president probably never should have picked to begin with. This is the National Defense Authorization Act. It is essentially the central defense policy bill as outlined by legislators. And for the last 60 years,
observers reported that Trump's legal team exchanged nervous glances while Trump himself leaned forward, focusing intensely as the judge reminded both sides that the court's priority is accountability and timely justice.
No one saw it coming.
Good evening, live from the Berlin Wall on the most historic night in this wall's history. What you see behind me is a celebration of this new policy announced today by the East German government.
We're going to issue a dividend to our middle income people and lower income people of about $2,000, and we're going to use the remaining tariffs to lower our debt.
He's a supporter of Time's Up, he claims there. Many parties may now be extra interested in that video series or evidence. Bannon says he will release a film early next year.
The judge stopped short of announcing a decision, but made it clear that immediate sentencing is now firmly on the table, catching Trump visibly off guard. As the judge prepared to adjourn, the courtroom fell into a heavy silence.
You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. What the Epstein is a Democrat hoax. Your crappy company is one of the perpetrators. And I'll tell you something.
During last week's oral arguments on the tariff case, Supreme Court justices cast doubt on Trump's authority to impose tariffs under the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act.
Joining me now, New York Magazine's Olivia Nuzzi and staff writer for The Atlantic, McKay Coppins, two of the great chroniclers of the Trump era. McKay, we'll start with you. Last hour, the Senate override the president's veto to the National Defense Authorization Act.
With everyone waiting to see whether the next hearing will mark a turning point in one of the most consequential legal battles in American history. For now, all eyes remain on the judge's next move and Trump's rapidly shifting legal strategy. Stay with SFA News for every development.